Alright, hey everyone, it's General Rice, the historian here. Today we are going to be playing 1812. So 1808 has been skipped because 1808 does not have a mod, therefore it is impossible for me to be able to win Maryland as James Madison. So therefore we are skipping to 1812. Alright, so this is the election, where Madison does end up winning re-election. However, um, DeWitt Clinton, um, you know, gives him a bit of a challenge. So let's get into this. All right. So James Madison, elected as president in 1808, Madison has seen deteriorating relations with Britain as well as intensification in the Indian Wars, which led an angry public to elect a war Congress led by Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun. Eventually, after many trade sanctions and protests failed to stop the British, Madison decided to declare war on Britain. So far, however, the war has been a disaster, with many defeats on American land forces. He now faces DeWitt Clinton, a fresh face on the national scene and nephew of Madison's own late Vice President George Clinton. Can Madison, the former Secretary of State and the main proponent of the Constitution, win, or is he destined to be forever known as one of the few people who lost an election during a war? All right, and there's actually two options, Publish Sherry and Daniel D. Tompkins. We're going to select Tompkins though, because he's from New York, and if we do this, now I feel like we can win New York, because they did not have a popular vote. Instead, they had the state legislature vote. So I feel like we can win the other state legislature. While Elbridge Gerry was Massachusetts, and I don't think it's possible to win Massachusetts in 1812. Could be wrong, but I don't think it's possible. So we're going to do normal. The all-important position of Secretary of State has opened up with the dismissal of Robert Smith. This is very influential post that will determine the affairs of American internationally. Knowing the tensions abroad, who will you appoint? All right. So, so realistically, historically, James Monroe was, chosen to be Secretary of State after Robert Smith, declined. Or no, not declined, but resigned. So let's just go with Monroe. Monroe is instrumental in negotiating treaties with the French to end attacks on American merchant ships. The British are less receptive and relations deteriorate, and Monroe soon joins Clay and Calhoun and calls for a declaration of war against Britain. Right. 18 June 1812. Between the British blockade of America, the increasing disputes um, over the Canadian territory, and skirmishes between troops and crown-backed tribes, Mr. President, how should we solve the Britain question? Um, see how we're doing in Maryland, by the way. All right, well, this one's going to be a bit of a challenge. All right, unlike the other elections, well, 1796 was a bit of a challenge, but all right, so we're going to have to work really hard on this. We need a peaceful revolution. We could do that. Um, no, at this time, people wanted to declare war on Britain because of this. So I'd hope. All right, let's do that. Congress, save for a few New England Federalists, agreed. A war declaration is soon finalized. Be prepared for the defining time of your presidency in the upcoming election. All right. So we're still winning. We're still winning Maryland, most importantly, by 2%. So that's good. Let's look before we get going on this election. It's been a turbulent year for you. Our new nation is now in what many have called the Second War of Independence. As President Commander-in-Chief of all American forces, what will be your general message to this country? Hmm. Let's attack with Clinton. This is a strong attack with Clinton, but keep in mind that the U.S. doesn't care too much for the attack and our camp. Okay. Okay, we're still winning, of course. Before we head to the major topic of this election, the war, we must first, as always, focus on domestic issues. What will you be doing in your next term? Let's do the third one. Promising land is always a good, right? If you want this nagging feeling that such tensions are inevitable, no matter what you do. Well, this doesn't hurt you, this doesn't help you either. Well, that's not good. Well, it helped in Maryland a little bit, but alright. 15 August 1812. A British invasion force is gearing up to invade Detroit. William Hull is assigned to defend this critical fort from the British and the Indians. What shall be your final orders to Hull for this siege? So this is an RNG question. This is not good. A great victory for the United States with Hull as the hero. Nice! Alright, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright. The Federalists have de facto allied with Clinton. Many Democrats who would have allied with Clinton are uneasy with this and have refused to work with him due to this. Though they don't see you as a good alternative, how will you try to gain them on your side? Let's do the fourth one. Well, that didn't work out. Alright, well, that sucks. Right, but we're still winning. So, you and much of the party have traditionally been against state involvement in infrastructure, but what will you say about the war showing how poor our infrastructure is? Alright. While your party is firmly anti-internal improvement, at the very least, you were saying that these times when sacrifice must be late. Ironically, this makes you look like a great wartime leader. Alright, well that seemed to help us. Alright. If you're wondering why King was on the ballot, he was only on the ballot in Virginia. Nowhere else. So, people will stump on your behalf this election cycle. What do you want them to emphasize in your campaign? Alright, it's always good to have a plan. Your party isn't much for spending on just anything, though. These times you can sell it to them as a national security issue. Alright, well, this is good. This is good. Right. September 3. Fort Harrison, named after the legendary William Henry Harrison, has just been besieged beside by a coalition of British allied Indians. Captain Zachary Taylor reports that he only has 50 soldiers, just 15 of them plus 5 settlers who are healthy enough to fight. What shall be your orders? RNG question. First one. Alright. Alright. This option was a success. Nice. Alright, perfect. We could even win New Hampshire. Your campaign managers are reporting some surplus funds in campaign. Which state shall we? Maryland. Of course we gotta do Maryland. Because of course. Okay. Recently, the land battles in this war have mostly been disastrous. American defeats, some due to cowardice, especially at Detroit, and poor military preparation, like lack of training for soldiers, equipment shortages, etc. Should the American army have been fully prepared to undertake defenses in America and invade Canada? Um, let's do the third one. You'll need some decisive and resounding victories to inspire the volunteer forces you're calling for. People aren't willing to die for a conflict. For a conflict your party needlessly started and are mismanaging. Alright, so that's not that good. but we can come back to this. Oh. September 14th. Emperor Napoleon and his Grande Armée have invaded Russia and are nearing Moscow. John Quincy Adams, the U.S. ambassador to Russia, awaits your orders to deal with this turn of events. In the aftermath, the fleeing Russian armies burned Moscow, and they. Right. So this hurts me. Jeez. So, all right. Well then, I guess we'll need to. Daniel D. Tompkins, your running mate, is willing to campaign on your behalf. What would you like for him to say? All right. All right. Let's do this. You successfully secured the support. However, they now expect. All right. Nice. All right. Well, we got New York, so that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. Let's look to the future. If re-elected, what will be your next aims apart from ending the war on honorable terms? Expansion to the west. All right. This is the party's bread and butter statement. All right. Okay. Jefferson appointed General James Wilkinson as governor of the Louisiana Territory to protect the U.S. from invasion on the Louisiana coast. However, many soldiers complained that he was ineffectual. As their tents were defective, many became sick due to malaria, dysentery, and scurvy, with dozens dying daily. Do you wish to replace him? Yeah. Very brave of you to do this, considering his influence in Pennsylvania. You receive a small boost everywhere but a hit in Wilkinson's home state. Alright. We're winning Pennsylvania by law anyways. Alright, okay. 13 October. An American invasion of British Upper Canada has resulted in an army crossing the Niagara River before they meet the British in battle at Queenston Heights. What will be your last course of action for the fight? The second one. The war support should increase. Alright, that's great. Alright, nice. Okay. We went one electoral vote, probably a Maryland, district. Slavery has always been continuous in our republic, especially with recent slave results. Alright. Alright. As much as I would love to say the second one, and I believe, in the second one. However, you know, we cannot say that because that would hurt Madison. Same thing with the, yeah, because I mean, slavery was bad. Slavery was a terrible thing. But for Madison, let's not mention it. All right. The New York legislature, well held by the right. How did we get 9 electoral votes? Oh, okay. All right. We shall lead the campaign. Disaster. Oh no, that's not good. Alright, but we're still winning Maryland, so that's all that matters. Okay, Maryland, of course. And we won Maryland! Nice. Alright, how much do we win it by? Alright, exactly 5%. About 10%. Alright, nice. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment down. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.